Come one, come all, to the only motorsport happening before 7 a.m. We're here in Central Florida, just north of Lake Okeechobee, with a whole pack of two-stroke motors this morning. They are aiming for the skies before sunrise.
The sun's a-popping. Leah's getting these pilots in the sky. Pono's out here monitoring, keeping everybody corralled into the LZ. And pilots are in the sky.
There is an Easter egg out there, and some of the pilots have found it.
Oh, we have an Easter egg. I'm going to let Leah tell you all about it.
An Easter egg, and some pilots have already found it. Oh, man.
So, yeah, there's an Easter egg out there in a no-fly zone where it's a bit more of 1,000 points that the pilots are going to have to figure out how to utilize those 1,000 points using gaggle rules. And some of them have figured out several ways of manipulating gaggle, and I'm quite proud of them since I changed everything early this morning.
I saw that. The course changed significantly overnight.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting how some people have come up with solutions to the problem at hand.
Well, what's the problem at hand as you see it?
They have to fly zone, which would give them 50% flight. And they have about a 2-hour window. Yeah, so they're going to have to come back and land.
Yeah, so that's how you do that.
Yep.
Okay, shoot.
So they're going to waste time to try to get 500 points, but at the same time, they could skip another track
I'll do my zoom out
is
thing
worth
when I'm
quite a bit of points. That may be difficult to score.
You're docked 50% of your points for the whole flight.
For the whole flight.
But if you go to that get it, abduction is significant, but 500 points in your pocket is significant. You come back, you land, get those 500 points, then you can take off again, go collect the rest of the points with no deduction.
That is correct.
Simply. Oh, that is valuable. And there's the correct sequence, otherwise it won't have the value.
Correct. Now, I think a lot of people are actually going to go. I saw a lot of people go to the north already, and they're going to go there first, come back and land, and then. But really, what they need to do is take advantage of the light winds and hit the tight corridor one with a bunch of zigzags on it, and go and do that 500 last as a bonus, because all they have to do is get there and fly home.
Sure, it's not too far away. So you think they should chase that bonus point last?
Yeah.
How long is the flying window this morning?
It's to 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So sunrise was 6:36 to 9 o'clock. They have just a hair under 2.5 hours available. It's now 6:45, and we've got most of our competitors either off the ground or preparing for launch.
Correct.
As a game master, I like the complexity that you've added into this to keep the pilots on their toes, keep the game moving, makes it a game, and strategy and tactics.
So what's very interesting is the fact that I decided to make some choices last night and then manipulate the map this morning. Some of the pilots are trying to come and asked me when the update was, but I was already locked in my camper and actually asleep. And they were coming back hours ago asking, well, when's the next update? When's the next update? And they're like, do I stay awake and wait for the update, or do I go to sleep early? You know, and I'm like, and the pilots were being told that I've been in bed for hours. And I think it's kind of interesting. I was up about 2:30 the first time this morning, kind of checked the weather. Then at 3:30 I started manipulating the map, checked the weather again. The window looks okay. And there we go. We got a whole bunch more pilots going out to the north. I think that's probably the worst move they can make.
Bunch of pilots headed north.
Here's one that got smart and turned to the west. Oh, they're coming back around.
That looks like we'll see here. That may be a quick turnaround and land. Hope our field marshal sees if he's coming back to hit the ground or if that's just a quick change of direction there.
It's really nice to get all these pilots off the ground all at one time.
They finally figured out how to be efficient.
Yeah, which is typical of any competition. In the beginning, people are a little goofy, and then they get really good about things.
They've settled in. They've dialed in. They're almost all pointed straight north.
And it seems like our fastest pilot has still not even set up his wing, because he obviously knows that he's going to complete everything faster than everybody else.
But Cappy's still on the ground here? Well, we've got a couple of trucks still on the ground.
Yeah. So we shall see.
I see Nick's big wheels. I see Cappy's wheels.
Also, to be
Yeah,
a jerk,
I
I
agree with you.
put on the map board a dot over my house worth 1 billion points. And I said you had to land there, but then I said, nope, it's a lie. And it was mostly to make people go and hopefully not find the true Easter egg on the board.
Yeah, I had completely written off the track that was up on to the north because it wasn't worth it. But now with the revision in the early hours, that's a tasty snack worth of 500 points. I saw you also up the points on the tight track.
Yes, I did.
And the points on the track that is just off of the runway here. So I know a bunch of people were up yesterday doing flight planning, trying to maximize how many points they were going to be able to fit into an assumed window. And all of a sudden, those calculations now need to be changed on the fly.
Yes. And I think that's part of the complexity that I needed to add using basically GPS tracking, and they can use all kinds of electronics for this.
Right.
So,
they have technology that they haven't been able to access previously, and so now instead to make it more complex, you keep things changing on the fly.
just like the weather.
The weather has been absolutely confusing for most of everybody out here.
Yeah, one of the things that I said in the briefing is that we're in a very unique zone where fronts tend to turn around. So we can get a cold front and 24 to 48 hours later we have tropical air coming up out of the south, changing the conditions. The weather prediction models often get confused in this area just due to the frontal boundaries reversing.
Okay.
So it really, really pays to walk out on the field and have a personal understanding of what's going on, not just looking at weather models. Weather models are been somewhat accurate as far as the winds coming up in the late morning. I do expect that to happen today, somewhere around 9:30 to 10 o'clock. We are going to see the winds, and they could get potentially really high, just like yesterday.
Bobby here. I've got the obstacle course up, but I don't have any pilots on it. Do I got to go someplace else for that?
Live tracking.
Live tracking? Is that going to pull up the correct map? Oh, you can change the map over there. Okay. Hey, now we're getting someplace. Looks like none of the pilots that we saw racing off to the north are chasing those bonus points, but we've got a number of pilots already in the middle of our 300-point track. What's that measure out to? About 10 miles or so?
I forget exactly what the distances are on these. A lot of numbers in my head over the last week. I
believe it was 10 miles, give or take.
I potentially can see that for you.
I saw this morning the winds were forecasted to be something like 20 miles an hour out of the northeast at 200 feet off the ground. Does that sound accurate? I'm looking at these clouds above us and
Yeah,
I see a bit of movement.
they are definitely moving. It is forecasted to come out of the east. Right now we have north wind. I believe it's all directed from the lake. The lake is very warm and it's sucking all the air from the north. It's probably sucking from every which way around the lake today. The track that most of the pilots are on right now is 8.5 miles. Worth 300 points.
Now, this track is interesting in that it's different from yesterday's track. Yesterday, they had to follow in the track and go for speed. Today, they're going for points, and points accrual is based on how accurate to the line you are. Yesterday, they just had to stay in the track. Today, if they want to get maximum points, they want to be on that solid line, smack dab in the middle.
Correct. So this is full gaggle points. So full gaggle rules. Yesterday was just a race course. They had to get the fastest glider wins. There were some no-fly zones around the outside and definitely in the middle. So they couldn't cut the course, but they could leave and go outside of the track at some points, which would only add time. So they would no longer be the fastest glider. Everything they did would count against their time, and yesterday also was just guys, you got to go out to the track and race your fastest time. And there were no other rules than get to the track, and there were some no-fly zones between Sunnyland Airport and the track, but other than that, they only thing that mattered was their time in the track. There were no other, and then no fly zones. There were no other penalties for anything else that they did.
Yep. And today we've got all these pilots running this, trying to collect a maximum of 300 points, but if they are not accurate, they are not going to get those full points.
Correct.
And then you can see we've got a second split of pilots who are absolutely cooking it downwind, collecting 25-point clusters. I expect they'll be shooting downwind and then circling back to hit some of these tracks, possibly doing 2 flights.
It looks like Kaylee there's having some engine trouble.
She's having some engine trouble. She had it running. It died on her first pickup. It looks like it's now died on her second pickup. I wonder if maybe the moisture has something to do with it, or just getting the motor warmed up. I don't believe she flew yesterday. Is that right?
Yeah, she did not fly yesterday. I believe she's been having motor trouble since the slalom comp in Bornos. Motors that go swimming definitely have some issues here and there. After a while, we readjust the carb and not quite factory settings. The motor is new.
Okay. So a little bit of tweaking and tuning required. James Sutherland is back already. He must have had some issue. Can you hear what he's up to?
I cannot. So
he's moving.
Kaylee's up and running again. It sounds good. Giving it full throttle.
We'll get a field report in a few minutes to hear what James was up to.
James is running.
Yeah, he does not like to waste time. Time on the ground is time not spent collecting points. So,
come on, Kaylee. Hopefully she doesn't have any motor troubles this time.
Well, I hope if they happen, they're on the ground instead of in the air. These pilots are prepared for a land out at any time in their flight, from the moment of takeoff to the furthest points of this course. If there is a motor issue, they are equipped and prepared to safely land out.
And there is an additional 50% from their total flight. So if they have already got a 50% deduction, they will get another 50% deduction on their points.
Look at that.
if I have to go pick them up.
You had mentioned the possibility of running north straight away, and it looks like
Oh.
Colby is going to take those big points right off the bat. He's going to head straight for that 1,000-point dot, accrue a 50% penalty. If
he has understood the rules of gaggle, he will come back and land before he takes off again.
We'll know soon enough.
So there's another complexity of the pilots that may or may not know the rules of gaggle, which we have discussed.
We've been discussing for 5 days.
Yeah, and it has been a brief discussion, but the rules have been told. Every pilot had the ability to utilize and practice with gaggle to understand how the points are accrued and how the penalties are accrued. And if they chose not to study gaggle, then
it's a personal choice.
Yeah, it's a personal choice. It's like not doing the calculations on your flight. You're just going to fly by the seat of your pants. Maybe you run into weather. Maybe you don't make it because you didn't put enough gas in your gas tank because it's a headwind.
Yeah, I see James just put more fuel into his machine. I have a hard time thinking that was the only thing he landed for.
He may not have. He's probably setting up for a longer flight.
Possible change in strategy.
Yeah, and because he landed, he wanted to top his fuel off again. Why not? Because he may be flying for 2 hours, and
he does have a limited fuel supply.
Yeah.
That big Polini 260 that he's running is a little bit thirsty, and so he'll run out of fuel in about 2 hours and flat. 2 hours and 2 hours 3 minutes. We saw him run out of fuel while he was doing practice up in Lake Wales. So he's prepared to be gone until the end of the flying session.
Here we go, Kaylee again.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, I'm not giving anybody a deduction for failed launches, especially when it's motor troubles. If they look dangerous, and I would have seen that in the first few days of competition.
Right. Yeah.
And her motor died again. Soon as.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah. Which I know in the pilot's mind, when you start having this many frustrating launches, that
it affects your mental state.
really gets on you.
It really affects it. Yeah.
I would love to go out there and give her her pep talk, but I think she's got enough coaching out there.
She does. She's got an assist. It looks like she's taking a break. That's a really smart move.
Yeah.
That's a personal rule of mine is 3 strikes and you're out. Even if it's something mechanical or if it's something mental or if it's a combination of weather and mechanical failure and headspace, all are imperative to flying safely. And when you've got demanding conditions going on like this, sometimes just taking a break for 10 or 15 minutes to recenter yourself is what you need in order to be successful.
So, I see James over there looking at his phone a lot.
I think that it's a
he looks
possible change in strategy at the last moment.
He looks a bit frustrated.
Absolutely.
All right, give me I'm going to have to get off
Let's
mic.
see what's going on there. See if we can't get him up in the air. All right, looks like James Sutherland's having some technical issues, something that is new as he's been using this since Sunday and been using it in the weeks leading up to this competition. So I don't think it's a user error, but could be something related to his phone. Maybe you should turn it off and turn it back on again. Give him some of the original IT advice. So we've got almost all of our pilots up in the sky, and now's a good time to so we've got some beautiful weather this morning, warmer than we've had the last couple of days, a balmy 65 degrees. We'll take it here in Central Florida in December. We've got winds are just perfect out of the north on the ground. However, just 250 feet up, that's a pretty low cruise altitude if you're going someplace in a paramotor. The winds are blowing 20 miles an hour. On the gaggle track, though, you can see a lot of our pilots are taking advantage of that. Most of them got up, headed downwind, and were covering ground at 40. Luigi's going 50 miles an hour. He's just turned downwind. All right, looks like James Sutherland is taking off again. I've seen that on a consistent basis. He will have more takeoffs and landings in a shorter time than anybody else. The way he manages to be effective and return to the LZ if needed and get right back up in the air ASAP. He's not afraid to land out for safety or technical reasons and then get right back to it. He's competing closely with Cappy, who's about to take off. He's in that orange and white trike on your left on that screen. Cappy is a professional pilot, decades-long career, and chooses paramotor for fun. And you can see he's excited to go have a good flight this morning. Beautiful smoke trail through the sky. He's got a lot of power on that machine. Just fun to watch. Now we have taken off Nick Fazekas. And other than one motor trouble, that is all of our pilots. It is a smaller field today than it has been in the past few days. Some of our pilots had to leave to catch flights across the country. Some of our pilots gave up thinking the weather was not going to open up for the rest of the competition. Some of the pilots dropped out knowing their points weren't going to be where they wanted to finish the race. So, let's see here. I wonder if our field is scattering a little bit more or if we're going to see a consistent pattern of two sets of tracks. We had one set of pilots veer to the north, take our first track, get 300 points, and then some headed south and then west to points first and track second. Looks like after the end of navigation task 1 there was a split off. Luigi headed further west. He's going to some of the most distant points. Some of our pilots headed eastbound. Scott Julius and Jim Simard collecting points before they find where they're going to head next. Predicting where you're going to be able to go and the time that you have available is going to be crucial in order to maximize the flying window that we have today. They're in a race against the weather. When it gets here, we can only project, but we can't know. We've got a wonderful slate of sponsors who made this event possible. It's always worth sharing their information because without them this competition would not have happened. Just as in pilot as the pilots are the sponsors. Come on, Kaylee, get that motor running. Viterazzi, most of our pilots are running Viterazzi in this competition. We have limitless paramotors. We've got In the podium chase, 2 limitless paramotors with Whitney Horkey and Jillian Wintermute. Air Italy, that's one of my favorites in this competition, Luigi. He's been absolutely crushing it. Sky Sports Fly Products, BGD, One Up Paramotor, Nomad. It's been a wonderful group. I know I'm missing folks. There's Aviator PPG, Aurora PPG. That's a nonprofit out of North Carolina. They've been doing some wonderful work here, and we're going to be donating some of the funds from this event to folks who need it. That motor just does not want to idle for Kaylee this morning. It's not a matter of it being a complicated mechanical problem to be resolved, but when you're under pressure, under stress, under time, they are looking to get it going ASAP. Keep that motor running. Will that to translate into problems in the sky? We don't know. I can only speculate that the issue is related to idle and low speed. That's not something that she'll be doing much while in flight. You're on throttle almost constantly. But we can only wish her the best and a full collection of points. The field is now empty. Our pilots are on their route. It's a matter of watching the map, seeing how our competitors are tackling this course, and waiting for things to develop.
So I went ahead, locked in those points, and then now I'm planning on taking off and trying to go get the other ones. The motor performed amazingly. It kept me secure. It's got so much power, like you barely even got to move it and then you're getting power, which is super nice. So we're gonna walk a little bit this way. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving flying the Moster out here. And yeah, it just makes you feel secure. And thank you so much, Viderazzi. I've absolutely loved being here, and it's all thanks to Viderazzi. So yeah, back to you, James. Back to you, James.
With what? That's everything. We got the whole pilot who hit the ground, and he's going to go back up. The rest of our pilots are out there on the track. They are tearing it up. We're seeing a little bit more variation now. When they started, we had everybody head off in 2 directions to hit tracks, except for Colby, who's now back, having taken a unique path on his quest to the top of the leaderboard. It looks like the high flying points are going to be on the 6.3 mile run. It's only 250 feet wide, where they are sometimes following visual clues on the ground, but anything outside of, they're going to take a 50% deduction. If they get through clean, it's going to be 750 points. It's the most valuable thing you can score on this course, which is why we've got a lot of our pilots going through it right now. Looks like Brooke has been dead center on that track, along with hitting a few points. He's already at 800. We've got Colby on the ground at 500, which means those points are locked in. So he is currently in the lead because he's got locked in points. Anybody else still flying could hit a no-fly zone, take a deduction. I want to check in on Luigi. He's one of our fastest pilots out there, although we have seen some navigation troubles with him throughout the course of this event. So I want to know, is he going to be on point today? Is he going to be locked in and dialed and accurate? It looks like he has been effective, getting a lot of points so far. May have wasted a few minutes here trying to decide where he was going. Maybe it didn't register that he collected the points, so he went back for it. Oh no, Luigi. Oh, I hope that track's not accurate. It looks like he may have struggled a little bit earlier in his flight after collecting points in the narrow corridor. We'll have to wait for the official ruling later in the day, but in the meantime, the rest of his flight, the whole flight, is going to likely have a 50% deduction in points. I can see on the gaggle, it's showing him, it's showing that he's gotten that deduction already. So that'll require some further review, but not great for his chances at the leaderboard now. From the top of our leaderboard, we also have Hollywood, Kyle Mooney. He is cranking out points already. Let's see. Where do I find Kyle on this map? He's hiding. He's one of those wings out there. There we go. Kyle Mooney. Looks like he's coming back to the field here shortly. We're going to see if we can't get something out of Kyle Mooney when he arrives back at the field in just a minute here. I would guess that he's going to land, get those points locked in before proceeding. He's got lots of time yet this morning to collect points. But getting them locked in without hitting any fly zones is extremely valuable. We've got Kyle approaching from the south here on the edge of the property right now. Don't know if we'll be able to get a film on him with this beautiful morning's sunrise, but I wonder if he'll have any thoughts for us. So it looks like he went out and collected a whole bunch of waypoints, made a nice, tight, successful loop, taking advantage of the out and the back, so the minimum of wasted time. And in the meantime, Colby's already getting set up to go out on the second flight. He's got his points locked in. He's on his way as well. Oh no, Adrian. Adrian's only showing 100 points. I'm going through his track to see if I can see what happened. If I would speculate there was a no-fly zone that may have been involved if he's only got 100. Here comes Kyle and Brooke. They were on top of each other. I didn't even see them. They were so close together. Those sly dogs. I wonder if they're teaming up in order to take advantage of... Yeah, absolutely. So that's Kyle Mooney. We've got the close-up now. I'm interested to hear
ready to go
what he's
again?
got to say about all of this. Check this out right away.
I'm going north.
You guys stop for a second just to get the points? And then...
Yeah, so we got to get the points, and the next one takes 50% off of your score, but it's worth 1,000. So it's a really big one to just fly there and get it and come back. So it's essentially free points. You just got to get there and back without having to do work, because the other course is you got to focus to do that when it's only 267 feet wide for 7 miles.
All right, get back out there.
Oh, we're going.
Well, no, I was using you to estimate the turn radius. Well, there was like 5 of us, but yeah.
Looks like we've got Wallow back to the field as well. We've got a couple of pilots popping out of the sky sooner than expected. They've all locked in some points now this morning. We've got Wallow on the ground, Brooke on the ground, Kyle on the ground. I did not see Brooke's gaggle track on here at all. I hope that's just a technical error.
No, I got
if his app wasn't recording,
the 2 navigation
there may
points.
Be trouble.
So I think she took out a few of them. So I went to the first one, and then there was like a gap. And so I threaded the needle and went to the next one. Done.
Going back up again for more?
I think we're done. I think there was only 2, right?
I don't know. They're going back up.
Yeah? I'll check. If not, I'll go.
It's remarkable. The pilots, given the whole field of opportunity, have taken some remarkably similar tracks in that they've strategized their flight plan independently and arrived at the same point and place in space. Looks like we've got Adrian coming back. I'm really interested to see what his thoughts were on this. The low points has me a little bit concerned for what may have happened while he was out on that track. I've been reviewing and I haven't found anything obvious, but I expect he'll be able to tell us a little bit more here. He's circled over the field once. He's checking the wind conditions. I expect him to come in, make a smooth, safe landing on this final here. Motor off. Waiting, full brakes, and a nice smooth touchdown. I'm interested to see how long these pilots are going to spend on the ground before they turn around, get back on the sky, maximizing points for what we believe to be the last day of the competition, and this being the last event to be hit. We've done STOL, we've done bowling, and looks like we might be able to get that quick review from the sky from Adrian here.
All right, mate. Gaggle had a blip. Gaggle had a freak out. Just got a message saying it's not shared on any leaderboards, but I don't know why. We'll sort it out. It's recorded, the flight at least. Flight is there.
Flight is there?
The flight is there on the map, but it hasn't recorded on the leaderboard.
I think they can fix that in post.
Yeah.
What was your strategy out there?
My plan was just to go and get the 2 tracks first, and land back here now to bag those points, and then I'm going to go out and get some more now, and hopefully should be all good.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll get to the top. That's the idea.
All right.
So an issue with the gaggle. I expect we'll be able to record the points correctly. I was reviewing Adrian's track while he was on final. I believe we'll be able to calculate manually in the event that it didn't properly apply points. Having gotten his score settled and given himself a little break from the sky, Brooke is already back up. I don't see him on the gaggle yet either. That'll be a wait and see event as well. I expect that it's working on his phone, otherwise he would have stopped to discuss any technical errors. So live tracking isn't perfect yet this morning, but our pilots are not wasting any time, and their GPS tracks are going to be accurate. Looks like we've got some clouds that have started to move in. That was a concern this morning about wet air blowing off of the Atlantic Ocean inland to us. We had a little bit of rain about 6 o'clock this morning. 5:30, 6 o'clock. Those clouds seem to clear out, but now we've got some scattered starting to creep in this way. I hope that doesn't bring too much wind or rowdy conditions with it, but we'll be here to let you know when our pilots report on it. second flight. The wind is definitely ripping up there. We're watching them get blown sideways. That might be Scott Julius that we've got coming in here. Adrian's already setting up to get out for a second flight, collect some more points. Let's see what wing we have. He's going to come right over the top of the announcing booth here. Give us a nice little close-up. I do believe that is Scott Julius. Let's see here. Yes, sir. Coming right in on a smooth approach. Oh. Down on the ground, the air is perfect. Once you're up in it, that's when it gets more interesting. Giving us a little showcase display of the skills. Control of your flight ends when the wing is on the ground. I wonder if he'll have anything exciting to say about Brennan and his points collection this morning. He's got to unclip and take a look at his gaggle and make sure things are working the way they ought to. We can see off to the north we've got a few more pilots ripping up, chasing that 500 point.
What's going on up there?
1,000 point with the deduction waiting for you.
Florida morning. Gusty. Thermic. Starting to get thermic.
What was your game plan up there today?
I'll run around and get as many points as I could. I think I busted the no-fly zone in the narrow corridor. That'll be a bum deal if I did, because that's a lot of points. We'll see.
You going back up to try to get some more?
I don't know, man. It's not great up there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Well, it was good to check in with Scott, see what he thought of the conditions here. Man, that sky is beautiful today. I'm just taking a quick look at the map. It looks like we've got a couple of pilots in that narrow 250-foot corridor. They are approaching some of the tightest turns. Jim Simard at 240 feet, and just behind him, Luigi. He's one of our fastest pilots, creeping in on him. They're going to have to pass each other in midair while still navigating the course. That's going to be a tight and interesting moment for them. Unfortunately for us, the little icons aren't that exciting, but I can guarantee that out on the field, making those tight turns, sticking to the course, making your turns. This is a section of the course that there is nothing to follow. And so getting your navigation track right, getting your head in right, passing your competitors while doing all of this in possibly bumpy conditions. It's an exciting morning. It's really been a thrill to watch these pilots as they go about these tasks. With this bowling, the swoop landing was magnificent fun, and that speed run yesterday we did was quite an exciting task. This morning we're doing the navigation. They're out collecting points scattered throughout the board, trying to follow tracks as closely as they can. This is the final activity, the final task, challenging all of the pilots' navigation precision skills as we head to the home stretch, see who's going to win the first STOL Classic comp. We got another pilot coming in for a landing here. This is a gravity wing. I believe this is Kaylee, I think. It doesn't look like a Kaylee-sized pilot, but I believe the other gravity pilot is Rico. But they just passed right on through, so they may not be stopping to land. They may just be traversing from the southern Big Point task straight north to go get more. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see them on Gaga, so we don't know for sure who, and we don't know for sure where. But we hope they got their strategy on lock. Looks like Adrian has finished his post-flight, and he's preparing pre-flight for the next one. We've still got a open window here for a little bit, about an hour and 8 minutes that they have to go collect points. Doesn't appear that the weather has deteriorated immensely, but we do have a large mass of cumulus clouds coming in from the northeast. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. It's got a dark, dangerous looking bottom. Hopefully that doesn't develop into anything our pilots need to avoid or get caught up in. There's only one way to find out. Adrian taking off for his second flight of the morning. He's got plenty of fuel. His only constraint is time. Is he going to be able to get out, get the points he's after, and make it back before the window closes? And while we're waiting on him, it looks like we've got another BGD wing approaching. That'll be Nick Fazikis on trike. I saw he was running some of the tasks earlier. Looks like he'll be coming back. I wonder if he's going to land or keep flying. It appears that he's approaching for a landing. Reducing power and pointing himself into the wind, coming right over the top. I promise not to duck. Lots of fuel left this morning. That's not a concern, but the extra fuel is extra weight, which is extra speed. It's all calculation. Looks like he's going to demonstrate some of those kiting skills. He is now kiting completely downwind, going opposite the direction of travel, giving us a nice smooth 360-degree travel, showing he's got control of the wing at all times. He's got control of the wing at most times. That wing did unfortunately just drop over the barbed wire fence. It did not hit the fabric, but those Kevlar lines may need a review after that. I'm pulling up the weather because there is a cloud inbound that appears to be running close to nearby over the top of that 500 points available 1,000-point task. I would not be surprised if some of our pilots who are traversing from point to point are looking at radar right now, evaluating whether it's going to be safe to go traverse to the north to find the points while those clouds are inbound. Hopefully we can find a pilot who's got an opinion on that before the end of the day. All right, so we got some strategy updates that may not have been accounted for by all of our pilots. Now, yesterday, while we were looking at the tracks, this 1,000 points to the north was not available. 500, we'll stick with 500 because that's what the effective is. Now, last night that was not there, was not a thing, and pilots were looking at doing about a 12-mile loop from the end of the tight track around to collect a bunch of dots worth about 100 points, 125 points for 5 of them.
Now with this Easter egg added, it's 1,000 points in a no-fly zone. So that's effectively, as you said, 500 points. But it requires pilots to now make time management decisions.
Time management decisions, because this is about a 12-mile loop from the end of this track, which made sense yesterday for 125 points. But now, this point here, this 500 points, is also about a 12-mile track for 500 points instead of 125 points. But if you didn't see that and recalculate that in, the window is closing to be able to land, lock in the points you've got now, and then go chase that second batch. So, the pilots that we've had come in this morning had made that adjustment early this morning, and they're going to have great scores. Whether the rest of the pilots are going to pick up on the value of that point and have enough time yet left this morning to catch it remains to be seen.
And do it correctly in a separate flight, because otherwise it will dock their scores for the entire flight.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, if you don't land before collecting that, this red circle deducts not just 500 points from that 1,000 task, it cuts your 50% for the entire flight. So any points they may have collected over here are suddenly worth half. So it's live updates, changes in strategy, tactics. I know some of our pilots might be chasing, keeping an eye on their competitors and making decisions on the fly. But until 9 o'clock, it's anyone's game. Gato, while I've got you here, what had you concerned most and excited most since yesterday evening when this potential flying window opened up?
Yeah, so obviously the concern is always weather, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's been very variable. But we have been getting windows of really good flyable weather. So, and it's funny because in conversations with Leah, we're looking at the forecast and it looks like trash. But then Leah would go, "Oh, but I'm looking at this front and it's dissipating and this and that is happening." And she's able to really predict weather better than the apps that we're looking at. So there was always a sense of feeling confident that we'd get another chance. We do have a pilot on the horizon here. Do we know who that is?
I know they're cooking, that's for sure. They're covering the sky quite quickly. My first guess is that's Mike Carlson. Carlson 622. He's a couple of miles north of the airport, but he may not be showing. We've discovered there is room for improvement with the gaggle system.
Yes, and this task, we discussed running this task as a beta to test a lot of those features. It's been amazing that Gaggle was able to create all of those features. Henny has been working with us relentlessly to create all of those different features and set this up for us. And we're getting a lot of data, a lot of feedback for him with our different tasks. We ran multiple tasks with those features. We obviously have the navigation today, and the last couple of days we were able to run a treasure hunt task and a speed run. So the variety of things that you can do with just these features is just incredible.
Yes, that's right. This is the first time we've used Gaggle in a competition. Is that correct?
That is true. That is true.
And if I understand it, the app was developed in conjunction with this event, where the developers were working with Leah and yourself in order to
Yes.
meet the needs of this competition?
The app itself was there. It's been around for a few years now, but the main developer with Gaggle, Henny, has been working very closely with Leah and Reese. I honestly stayed out of that part because I don't know if you talked about my role before, but I'm handling the project management side of things, as far as planning the tasks goes. Leah is the lead on these types of activities for sure. She has been very involved in this process.
It looks like we have Brooke coming in. This is his second flight. He went out and collected some tracks first thing, and then took off for his second flight to get that 500 points, that big old task to the north. So he
looks happy.
Quite excited to be back. He's got a great score this morning already, so he may be delighted with what he's been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot done. As one of the heavier pilots in this field, this task did give him an advantage. This and yesterday's speed run, where he took first place with his success.
Yes, definitely. First place in the foot launch category.
Yep.
He did really well. And that was a tough one too, because it was not just about speed, it was also about how well you know your gear. So the final scores were adjusted by how well the pilots predicted their speed. So it was very interesting to look at those scores, and Brooke did such a good job being very fast and also predicting with a great deal of accuracy how fast he would go.
Saw some,
Let's see what Brooke
some happy kicks
about
coming
this
in.
last flight of his. Maybe he
excited
had
about?
some
I
trouble
was kind of
with
excited
flap.
to get back on the ground for a second. Kind of getting beat up, and there's a compromise between being down low to get penetration, but being down low is not exactly the safest place in bumpy conditions. And yeah, just balancing performance, safety, and just being worn out after a full week of flying. I've got to get back up in the air right now, though.
You're just landing to get those points?
Yeah, there was a strategic spot where you could get points, but you were going to lose half off to get them. So I didn't want that half off penalty to apply to the other points I need to go score, so I had to land to reset my flight recorder. So I know there's an hour left. Conditions seem to be, I don't know if I'd use the word deteriorating quite yet, but it's not far from it. So I'm gonna go back and grab a few more points, third takeoff for the day.
Yep.
All right, what?
Okay.
2 flights in, and Brooke is not done. That man is greedy for points. He is absolutely climbing the leaderboards these last 2 days. The first task, swoop, bowling.
He did very well on swoop.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. The stole and the stop, the spot landing.
Mm-hmm.
He struggled a little bit with early in the week, but that's the beauty of the design of this competition, that these tasks require you to be skilled in all arenas, and even if you're not fabulous at one specific task, you can make up for it by being a great all-around pilot, which he absolutely is.
And that was one of the things, not to interrupt, but that was one of the things that we were hoping pilots would also consider when they're choosing their gear, which glider and which motor, because it may be a good strategy to focus on what you're good at and set yourself up for success and high ranking in those tasks, knowing that not everyone is going to be good at everything.
Right, absolutely. You had talked a little bit a minute ago about project management. That is the hidden underbelly of success to any project, is the management of it. Is there anything you want to speak to about some of the difficulties, some of the hurdles, some of the unanticipated road bumps that you hit on the way to being in the field here this week?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm going to say that there's so much work that went on behind the scenes for months to make this happen. there was obviously there were the obvious things regarding logistics, actually making the space work for us, what we need, and predicting the turnout and the facilities and amenities that we will need to set up for pilots to be comfortable. And then, of course, there was working with the sponsors and making sure they are well represented on the field and on social media. We're looking at Brooke takeoff again for his third flight this morning. Go,
He
Brooke.
was sponsored for this competition by both Fly Products and BGD. He's got that Luna and
Yeah, I love that pattern on the Luna. It's just so beautiful. And in these colors, it's just, BGD wings are so beautiful.
they are indeed. And we've also got Kyle Mooney with Fly Products and BGD. He's flying a new wing, the Icon,
Yes.
which is he's pitching this to future pilots as a all-around advanced, having a good time wing. And with any luck, he'll be able to tell us a little bit more of it. It's got a custom color pattern from BGD that we've never seen, but following in true to form is just a beautiful piece of fabric.
Yes, and he helped design that himself, so it's really cool.
It's been a bit of his baby, bringing that from an idea into fruition. So we might be able to get him on some project management of what wing design looks like if we're lucky.
Yeah.
That cloud is really blowing up just to the north and west of us. That's going to create some weather before too long. Who do we have coming in to land here?
Looks like James is coming.
James Sutherland. He had a quick flight this morning, had a technical issue, came around, got back up in the sky, and now he's returning from officially his second flight. I don't think he got any points on his first flight. Caught a little bit of sink, but he had the motor running, was able to juice it and get a nice smooth landing. A little bit of sink can drop you 6 or 8 feet within a second if you're not ready for it. But he was on the brakes, he was ready with the throttle there available. That may be an indicator that the conditions are getting a little bit rowdier already yet here today.
Yeah, one thing that you were speaking about James's first flight and the technical issues he ran into. There's one step that pilots need to do before they can take off and for their points to count is to choose the correct task on Gaggle. All of these tasks are listed, so that is something that pilots needed to learn about using the app is to choose the correct task so they can see the correct map.
Here comes Kyle right now with that beautiful new BGD wing. You can see it's got a giant arc. It looks like a sizable fraction of a circle. That is a specific design choice that gives it some really fantastic handling characteristics, or so we've been told. I've yet to test fly that wing. I've got a penchant for rolly wings myself, and so I'm excited to have some free time to get out and see how that wing performs. Okay, James.
Not wasting any time. We don't got more than about 35 more minutes, so we're gonna get up there and get all those points we can.
He just went up and collected that 500 point task. So because that whole flight was docked by 50% from the 1,000 points down to the 500, he didn't want to go out and collect anything else until he had finished that flight.
That is smart.
So he's locked in a full 500 points for that highest point circle to the north. He has also hit a couple of runs for max points, so he is currently in the lead, and he has not got any interest in somebody catching him. He is going out and he's making use of this window to get as much as possible. Here comes Colby. He's finishing his second flight. He went out and collected the high point Easter egg first thing this morning, and so he's coming back after having gone out and collected some tracks as well. So a lot of pilots trying to maximize the short 2.5 hour window that we had this morning, and
yeah, I think that's it for me for the comp, and I had an absolute blast. I think everybody should get out here and try it. And I'm super thankful to Viterazzi for bringing me out here. It's getting bumpy, and for me, I'm super content with the points that I was able to get, and I realized that now I know what I need to work on to keep doing better next time. So I'm happy with it, and I felt like it's a good time to land for me. So shout out to everybody still out there. Looks like a ton of people are still out there killing it. And yeah, I'm excited to keep watching with you guys now. Or are we live? So we can just keep talking. Wrapping up my stuff.
Can I talk about our sponsors real quick?
Absolutely. We've
All
got
right.
fabulous sponsors
Yes.
for a bunch of our pilots throughout the competition, and they absolutely help make this happen. Who do you
Yes.
want to talk about this morning?
Well, I want to send a big thank you to our title sponsors. Of course, we have Viterazzi, best-selling paramotor engines in the U.S. and one of the best in the world. We have the majority of the pilots here in the competition are flying Viterazzi. I am especially fond of Whitney's motor. She's the only pilot flying the Atom 80 in this competition.
The
and
solo pilot with the Atom 80.
She is killing it, proving that Atom 80 is definitely competition material for the right pilot.
Yeah, she's been exceptionally successful with the first place in the swoop bowling competition. She was also first place in the spot landing competition, another precision task. And then I believe she took second in the navigation. That fuel economical Atom 80 allowed her to stay up in the air, utilize a long window, and collect a lot of points.
Absolutely. And of course, we have Sky Sports Egypt, our title sponsor, who is offering prizes for our pilots. And this is very exciting. All pilots who are participating in the competition will actually get a discount on a trip to fly over the pyramids in 2025. So that's really exciting. You don't even have to win. You just needed to be part of this competition to get that discount. But for our pilots who will place, we have a free trip to fly over the pyramids. Basically, all expenses covered once you get to Egypt. Pilots obviously have to cover the trip to Egypt, but then after that, once they get there,
Everything but airfare.
Everything but airfare, exactly.
That is a large value.
Absolutely. And then those prizes, those discounts, second place gets 50% off that trip, and third place gets 25% off. So it's really exciting to give that opportunity to fly over the iconic pyramids of Giza in 2025 for all of our pilots.
Those are prizes worth thousands of dollars, because those are not small ventures that get put on. That is a large operation you have over there.
Oh yes, it's actually it's very expensive to put together these trips, because there are a lot of permits and fees that have to be paid to actually access the Giza Plateau. And in fact, when we do these flights over the pyramids, we lock down the entire Giza Plateau. We have the airspace for usually 3 to 4 days to allow for weather conditions. So it does get expensive to plan those trips, and it's very exciting that our title sponsor, Sky Sports Egypt, is offering this opportunity to our pilots.
That is a fantastic degree of going to fly someplace incredible, one of the wonders of the world, and doing it in conjunction with and in a controlled environment so it can be done safely. I know many of the most exciting things out there to fly are also the most risky, so the fact that they can do that in a controlled and safe environment is fabulous.
100%. And pilots get a very good debrief on what it's like to fly around the pyramids. People don't realize how much rotor you get off of those structures. They are mountains. So it's a very interesting experience, very cool. Definitely a bucket list item for paramotor pilots.
I know I always get jealous. One of our sponsors, Rob, regularly puts up on the internet some of his fabulous photography. He's an incredible photographer in addition to pilot and sponsor, and he's got some photos that will just knock your socks off with how gorgeous they are, highlighting the terrain and the sport and the viewpoint that you get from the air, which is just about unparalleled.
I
It looks
totally
like we
agree.
have Luigi coming in for a final, getting blown sideways, and that looks like Whitney Horkey as well. Now, we do have 40 minutes left in a flying window. So these pilots may yet still be able to land and then go collect that high bonus point item, but it'll be tight.
Yeah,
And
while
the conditions are deteriorating as we get later in the morning.
while we have Luigi landing here, Luigi is actually sponsored by our title sponsor, Air Italy, and they have been very supportive. They were, I would say, the quickest title sponsor to jump on board and provide their support and send one of the best pilots that we have here in the competition.
Absolutely. I've watched Luigi out throughout this entire competition, and every task he has placed well in. Almost every task he has placed well in, let's be clear. I bet he'll be excited about this morning's flight. Wow, Rick. We'll be back with Luigi shortly.
Well, that gives us time to talk about our final title sponsor, Limitless Paramotor. Obviously, Limitless Paramotor is one of the maker of one of the most popular frames on the market right now here in the U.S. They pride themselves on having frames and frames that are fully adjustable, so you can capture a lot of these unique features for pilots in the settings and adjustments of your motor. Looks like Luigi's ready to talk.
Crazy. Oh, I did a crazy run. Something like 80 something kilometer in less 1 hour than 1 hour and a half.
How's your strategy work this morning?
Full speed all the time, staying lower as possible to get speed. Yeah, it was pretty nice, and I did more than I was planned. Then yeah.
So you think you did well this morning?
Yeah, I think I did very well. Probably, but probably I hit a no-fly zone in a tournament. There was strong wind, and the wind kicked me side on one side. Yeah, but I think I got a lot of points. Then could be a good thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were just talking about limitless paramotors. I know that both Jillian and Whitney, in competition for the podium, are flying the limitless paramotors. One of the big things about that frame is the ability to swing a bigger prop, which allows you to lower your RPMs, get more fuel efficiency, and get more power out of that motor.
Yes, and that's how you are getting a lot of power out of Whitney's Atom 80 that is allowing her to do all of those tasks just on par with everybody else that are flying bigger motors.
Speaking of Whitney, we just saw her ripping by here a minute ago. She was downwind cruising at 50 miles an hour, but I don't know where she went. I think she's taking advantage of that large gas tank to go chase all of these dots out here. Accrue maximum dots, but I don't know if she's aware of that Easter item that was out there, and the window for her to collect it is rapidly closing. So at the moment, I believe she is the only pilot capable of capturing first place from Kyle Mooney, who went out and had a fantastic morning. So it's coming down to the final minutes of a week-long competition for who's going to be atop the podium and get that free trip to fly the continent of Africa. That's the other part of it. Like, yeah, Egypt, that looks like it'll be a fun flight once or twice, but checking Africa off the list? Okay. We've got another pilot coming in on final here. Coming right over our production booth. Sneaking in. This is Jillian. Jillian had a long, successful flight. She was out there collecting tracks, collecting points. I don't believe she has gone north to the bonus Easter egg, and I'm not sure that she'll be able to. The clouds are coming in. They're getting ominous. The winds are picking up here on the field. We can see that the windsock is starting to stand up a little bit more than it was even just 30 minutes ago. So we've got pilots that are landing for the day, and the window to accrue any more points before the end of the competition is rapidly closing on us.
Gotta go.
You just here to reset?
I'm in a rush. I gotta go. I don't know how this came undone.
She's going back up.
Another bio break. She needs it. She needs it. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. We have to do a little bit of math. She's got 34 minutes, and it's a 12-mile round-trip flight.
She's going to have to be quick.
If she averages 24 miles an hour, she'll be safe with minutes to spare.
But then there's the
She'll
weather.
want a scud run to get out there, stay as low as possible, to stay underneath this wind, but it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. We've got clouds blowing up vertically. That's adding tons of instability to the air. We've got Jim over the top of us. He is getting blown sideways. He doesn't appear to be getting rocked too bad, so maybe the turbulence isn't terrible. But that's one of the advantages of that Charger. It's a very stable wing.
That is true.
Very reliable and great for all sorts of conditions.
Jillian is going back up.
The Viper XC has proved to live up to its name as well. For XC for cross country, those winglets add a lot of stability to the wing and allow you to do less work when you're flying. If you're cruising down the highway and you're having to make constant adjustments, it just wears you out as a driver or as a pilot. The ability to have a wing that soaks up those bumps will allow you to fly longer, fly farther, more comfortably, focus on the tasks, and have success.
We have some pilots that look like they are done for the morning.
I expect so. The efficient pilots doing efficient tasks, got multiple flights, got big points. For a lot of them, going out and chasing 25-point circles miles out of the way just wasn't worth it.
Here comes Jim on the final.
Yeah, we can see he's encountering some turbulence as he approaches the strip here. I didn't realize that Jim was rocking a 3-blade propeller. That's another method to generate more power out of a machine.
Does seem like
Howdy.
the wind is.
How's it
picking
going?
You made it back.
I survived! Holy crap, was it ever bumpy?
Are you done for the day or are you going back up?
I'm done.
What was your strategy out there this morning?
I full speed bar pretty much the whole time. I slowed off when I was going 90 kilometers an hour or 60 mile an hour. But then I just wanted to stay on course. I had a plan and I succeeded. Unfortunately, I did not get all of the checkpoints, but I really didn't want to be up there much longer because it was pretty raucous. For me, I'm not that adept to bumpy stuff.
You made it back. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad.
We've got a report from Jim, who is the last pilot to have landed here. He reports that it is bumpy. That's not what I would call a shock, as the clouds have moved in. They're ripping. The boundary layer between the upper winds and the lower winds is mixing and stirring this all up. It's an invisible rapids almost that they're encountering.
Is that Mike Carlson? Looks like he's coming in.
Sounds likely. He was up there collecting a lot of points this morning as well.
That beautiful Spider 3. That has quickly become one of my favorite wings.
The Spider 3 is a great all-around wing that we see a lot of brand new pilots pick up as their first wing of choice with only the main brake toggles tied in. It's less responsive, less oscillating, safe wing even for new pilots who are flying in good conditions. And yet when you get that 2D steering tied in, it becomes a much more agile wing if you start using your arms and pulling in on it.
Here comes Kaylee.
See, she's got that custom sticker on the bottom of her gravity wing. Don't kill my vibe.
That is also her Instagram handle, if you want to find her there.
Most of our pilots are on the internet in some way, shape, or form. Facebook, Instagram, popular places to be. I don't know if any of our pilots have picked up Blue Sky yet. Yes, you were right. That was Mike who landed.
How was it?
It was bumpy. It was fun. I enjoyed that. My shoulder hurts just from trying to navigate the entire time and stay on the tracks. I was just trying to, I had my gaggle open and just trying to, you know, coordinate like just active piloting and trying to crab and use the wind to my advantage, and also know just like, okay, when I turn, I'm gonna have to turn at this angle because the wind is coming stronger this way. So that was just different technique that I had to use. And really I just took the first track around into the second one and then came back to the airport.
You're happy about your performance this morning?
I'm pretty happy. I think gaggle, there was a bit of a lag in it, so that was kind of hard when it comes around the like tight corners and stuff. But I'm happy. Got to fly.
Made it back safe.
Made it back safe.
All right.
What was that, Bobby? Little trouble with the app. We're seeing that fairly consistently among a number of pilots this morning. This being a beta test for something the app was never originally designed for. We have pushed it far and above anything that it's done before. So part of the process of improvement is the process of learning.
And we are given a lot of feedback for the developers. It's very promising, even with the minor issues that we have encountered here.
We've got a handful of pilots left on the course. At this point, I don't think anybody else who hasn't already headed off in that direction is going to be able to get this morning's added Easter egg. And in fact, some of these pilots are going to have to work in order to get back. Cappy is still going downwind away from the LZ at 54 miles an hour, 58 now. He's going to have to, in 25 minutes, turn around and make the return journey. Theoretically, he can make it from where he is right now. He is one of the fastest pilots in the field, so if anybody can make it, it will be Cappy.
Speaking of turning back around, looks like Nick is coming back. I don't think he went very far on this one.
He did not. He took off, started flying that direction, and it appears he changed his mind. It may be that the conditions are getting just too rowdy for safe flying, or if there's just too much of a headwind that he wouldn't be able to make it to his task and back before the window closes at 9.
Yeah, and that is coming up very soon. Only 24 minutes.
Jillian is pointed straight into the wind. We watched her launch just a minute or two ago. She is 65 feet off the deck. She is as low to the ground as she can safely fly and land if the motor quits unexpectedly. And using that to her advantage, she's making some great progress upwind. I have faith that she's going to be able to make it to that point and back in minutes flat when she catches a tailwind. She's got a great trajectory.
Heading straight to that Easter egg. And that's all she needs to do on this flight. Just hit that spot and come back. Which is going to be a very quick trip back with this wind.
It always is a lot of fun when you catch a nice tailwind for the flight home. That's one of the things new pilots learn very early on is that when you don't have to fly into the wind for the return journey, there's a lot less stress.
Absolutely.
When you've got a 50-mile-an-hour tailwind and you're low on fuel, you're less concerned about making it. You can climb nice and high. You're getting that good push. You can see your LZ from miles away. Adrian's taking off again. I wonder where he's off to.
Yeah.
Closing in 22 minutes till the end of the launch window. Several of our other mornings we were able to fly well into 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning before the weather turned up, but based on the predictions from our resident expert micrometeorologist Leah for safety, knowing these pilots would push the envelope to get points, she has set a close time for flying at 9 a.m. Guido, I believe.
Oh, Guido?
Guido. He's had a nice long flight. I don't believe he made 2 flights, so it's unlikely that he got the special task here. Oh, going downwind. Nice safe wing put down. So yeah, wild variety of strategies. Some pilots are taking off and doing 3 flights in the morning, and some of our pilots are getting back after having been in the air for 2.5 hours with just 1 whopper flight to their tally for the day.
All right, Leah just said no more launches.
That is officially the end of the launch window.
The green flag
It
is
is
down.
landing only at this point. If you come back, you cannot leave.
Oh, do we see Whitney? Looks like Hoagland is also over the field right now. Now Hoagland has a lot of free flight experience. He's probably one of the most experienced free flight pilots in the group.
Free flight, okay. I know there's a lot of folks that either start in paragliding and then transition to paramotor or vice versa. I myself just started flying paragliding this year, and it's been an entirely different sport. I in fact use some of the same gliders for PPG as PG, and yet even though it's the exact same equipment, it's a completely different flight. Doing some rapid altitude loss maneuvers there. You point the wing down to the ground, and it'll help you get there quick.
And here comes Brooke.
Brooke was another pilot that did 3 launches today. He went out and collected points, landed safely, took off, collected points. He did not waste any of the launch window. He was one of the first up. And so he's going to have a fantastic score here today, I imagine. Doing some weight shift to final lineup on approach. You can see some differential break in to account for the wind. Nice smooth lay down. All of our pilots coming home to rest. We've got Kyle right behind Brooke. We saw them launch and land a few times today. It's not collusion, it's just cooperation. They're actually clogging up the LZ a little bit. A lot of our competent pilots like to put it down as close as they can because they don't want to have to walk it further than they need to. Now, Whitney being proven most accomplished precision landing pilot we've had here in the field today, I expect she'll put it right where she wants to. If she goes long, it's because it's a safety call, not because she can't do it. Showing those ground control skills, keeping that wing nicely in the air. It didn't get blown over sideways, backwards, forwards, right where she wants it.
So who else is in the air? Do we have anyone left? Jillian is still out there.
Jillian is on final approach to that last point. She's climbed almost to 100 feet above the ground. As long as she doesn't run it into a tall tree, she'll be just fine.
She's almost there.
She's real close. It's not the red circle, it's the purple dot inside of there. So she's still got a little bit left. It's just a matter of that final leg before she can turn around.
I'm not into that. So I did all of the other things, as many as I could. I think I only missed like 2 or 3 of the little spots, but I hit all the major ones, and the points will show. Don't know. I don't know what Kyle did. I don't know how accurate Kyle was. I am fairly sure I didn't hit any no-fly zones, so I'm hopeful that I have full points. We'll see what I got.
Heck yeah, Team Limitless.
Thank you,
USA.
Team Limitless. Pitarazi, Adamady.
Place and Whitney in second place, Jill in third place.
And that's
we
overall.
did not know the points, but throughout the entirety of the competition, those 3 were on top, and so it was going to come down to today's tasks. Now, what has me worried is that Whitney, in her collection of points and in the strategy she developed yesterday, I don't think she left herself a window to collect that bonus 500 points that Jillian's about to collect right now. That may result in a shift in the leaderboard. And I think she would have needed that 500 points if she was going to have a chance at surpassing Kyle for first place. So there still may be some podium shuffling going on here. We have no idea. Let's check in with Kyle, see what he's up to.
But I don't know. I can't see it. What's everybody looking like? There. Dude, I think yours is like.
Maybe I'm frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen. Close out your thing and go back, cause I'm definitely not going 39 miles an hour. Right? What do you think, Brendan? Are we going 39 miles an hour right now?
I'm just interviewing you guys.
No, it's good. It was a good. I did 3 flights. The first one we had the intention of going to the what do you want? The tight run that's on there, where it's about 260 feet or so apart as you weave through it, and we chose to do that one first because it was the smoothest by far to do it during that one. I would hate to do it right now. And then that allowed us to come back and land, and then there's a task up north that's worth 1,000 points, but you have to hit a no-fly zone to get it. So we went up to there, only got that, came back, landed for a second time, and then for the third run just got what you could with the time allotted. So we'll see.
Just turned around. She's
Oh, did she just turn around?
She just turned around. She's 5.5 miles away coming back.
15, she should make it.
She's doing 40.
She's doing 40, she'll make it.
She'll make it.
She'll make it.
Barely.
She'll make it with like 8 minutes.
Oh, you have someone else up there.
Looks like Jill's on her way home. She is eager to climb from third place as of yesterday to first place. Today, if she's got enough points, that 500 will likely be enough to, well, I say likely. I don't know. We don't know the point spread. We don't know the point spread. That's why that strategy this morning was going to be crucial to see who ends up in what final position. With only 15 minutes left in the flying window, Jill is going to be making a beeline. She was shooting as low as possible upwind to get as much forward speed, but now that she's on the return journey, she's climbed up a little bit. 37 miles an hour. She'll be home in a matter of 8 or 10 minutes, I would expect. Cappy, he's out there. He's got at least 5 miles to go as the fastest pilot. You'd think he'd have a great shot, but he is going into the wind. He is fighting it low at 100 feet. He's going to be pressed for time as well. We also have Nick Fazekas in the air. Not sure how many more points he's looking to collect. Catching a few shorties at the end of the comp. What's Brooke up to here? He had a great flight this morning.
For 1 billion points. Like, literally, if you had tried to fly there and get picked up and get your wheel back to here like you did.
Yeah.
In the time, like, so you're landing back here, even though you landed there.
Yeah.
It would have been so close to the minutes to do that.
Really?
That would have been
That'd have been
perfection.
the way to do it.
So you have to arrange transport to get back
Yeah.
here. And then
Sure.
I would have then said you could either land in the fields, the baseball fields right
Yeah.
by my house, or the convenient one right by my house. And then, because you'll have to figure out how to get there, and then what if you got pulled over for speeding on the way back?
Right.
Because you would have.
I'd take it.
Secret is there's some roads where
What if you saw me pull in and it was just like 10 cop cars and blue lights? And just
oh, billion points, you win everything.
Oh, they arrested me. I'm like, what a score.
I 100% I would make sure you won.
And would you bail me out of jail?
No. It's all on you. But you would, I would have given you that. I should have really thought out.
That'd have been real gameplay.
Yep. You have to find your own transport.
Quick question. When I first took off the very first one this morning,
yeah.
As soon as I got off, my phone glitched out, no gaggle. And so I restarted it. It restarted it in treasure hunt. I restarted it again, but I made sure it was restarted in the right mode before I hit anything outside the field. You can see my progression.
Yeah, I have to go through all the scores anyway.
Okay.
Just verify things.
Okay.
And then we'll figure it out. There's not a lot of math, thank God.
He's coming back.
It's just verifications. It's not a lot of math.
Turn into trash up there.
11 minutes.
What was your strategy up there?
Strategy the whole day was go get points, come back, log them out so I couldn't get any no-fly zone penalties. And then I did that 3 times. And the third flight, I knew conditions were deteriorating. So I was just going out trying to grab some points and get back. And I got back right around the edge of my comfort zone. It's pretty trashy up there. So, and the rain's here almost. You could see it was going to get bad, so I'm just glad to be back on the ground. 3 flights to try to score some points.
We're into our final minutes of the competition. Every one of our pilots is headed home. They've collected the last few points that were available to them, and now it's a matter of racing out the clock.
10 minutes. 10 minutes till the window closes.
10 minutes. Jill will make it no problem. She's got a nice straight track downwind for home. Adrian just made it. He collected the last couple of points. Nick Fazekas has got his last points. He's got just a couple miles to get back. He'll be just fine. I'm a hair worried about Cappy. I would call that probably 5 miles. Moving it. He's got to average 30 miles an hour if he's going to get back in time.
Well, he is very fast, so we'll see how that goes.
23 miles an hour isn't enough. It's going to be close. Now, we're talking about points. We're speculating what it's going to look like for the podium and the finish. Do we know, do we have a rough idea of when the final points are going to be calculated?
We are giving ourselves about 2-hour window to finalize scores.
Oh, you're hoping to get this done quick. These pilots want to know what's going on.
We have everything ready for the scores from this task. As soon as we are done and everybody lands, we'll be able to extract the data from Gaggle and enter that into our spreadsheets, do the math, and do a final review of everything, because we definitely want to make sure that everything is fair and is calculated correctly. And then we'll turn around and have a beautiful award ceremony today and celebrate this this experience. It's been an amazing event with a lot of work that went into it, so it's going to be time to celebrate very soon.
Now, as I understand it, some of the competitions your points are awarded on your place, and some of the competitions the points are awarded on what you go out and collect.
Yes. So some tasks are absolute points.
So what does that mean? Like if you took first in STOL, you got what? It was 1,000 points.
Well, the STOL is weighted heavier than the other tasks, a little heavier, so 2,000 points for STOL.
Okay, so first place got the full 2,000 points.
Exactly.
Versus this morning, the highest score is based on how much they were able to get done.
That is correct. Today's task is Gaggle algorithm. So Gaggle is scoring them as they collect those waypoints, and that is the score that we are going to extract and put into our spreadsheet.
Okay. Has there been any concern from the pilots on the scores that they've got? Has there been that they've had to go back and do much review, or?
For the treasure hunt task, there was a little bit of review of the photos that the pilots submitted. Some of the photos were not very clear, and we had to look at the map and make sure that they took a picture of the object, of the treasure they were supposed to collect.
But that wasn't related to the Gaggle track at all. The
Exactly.
GPS points and the no-fly zones have all been perfectly accurate so far?
Yes. The no-fly zones, the data that Gaggle collects is incredible. We have been receiving spreadsheets that were very accurate, and they tell us exactly the different events that happen during the flight are, and whether it's a no-fly zone or a takeoff or a landing or starting a track, ending a track. It's just beautiful, the amount of data that the app produces. So it's been very helpful for us on the scoring side. Yeah, go ahead.
The accuracy on the GPS being within just a couple of feet, 3 to 5 feet of accuracy, means that the tightest course we had on here, we were able to absolutely force these pilots into extreme precision.
Yes, we were very impressed. Some of the pilots at the beginning of the speed run, at the entrance of the track, if they experienced just a little bit of oscillation at that starting point, Gaggle actually was able to capture them being on the track and then leaving it for 1 second and then coming back on it. It's amazing, the level of accuracy that we have seen in the data collected. And of course, the other thing that, as far as scoring goes, was more of a decision of how we want to approach the scoring in general. We brought up some questions in a forum with the pilots to see how they see that scoring working and the different ways that it can be scored. For STOL, for example, there were discussions about distance and ranking and whether we are competing against each other as pilots or competing against the course itself and seeing how well people perform on the course. So once all of those decisions are made, we can then come up with metrics that allow us to capture everybody's performance. So yeah, there are a lot of decisions that have to do with scoring, and I feel everybody's happy with where we are right now, and everybody's looking forward to those final scores. And we have Jillian coming back.
She's made it.
She made it. 5 minutes to spare.
We've got Jill approaching the field from the north. We've got Nick approaching the field from the south. We just had a gust come and hit us. They will have felt that in the air. So I would not be surprised if we see motor on landings that give you a little bit more a safety margin and the ability to compensate for any last minute bumps as you come in to land. The ability to blip the throttle if you need to, or have a go around up until the very last moment is
All right, Jillian's on the ground. Nick Fazekas.
Nick Fazekas also making a low approach, and it looks like Cappy should be able to make it. He's closing in, making good time. I like his chances. I think we're going to be able to get all of them in with Cappy coming in under the wire. He's a professional pilot. He's done flight planning for decades, and so he was able to use that experience to maximize his time in the flying window, collect as many points as possible. He's been in a tight competition with James Sutherland in the trike class. I got a little nervous there for a second when the wing was not pointed the same direction as the pilot, but
he's got it under control.
Well, last time he
came back. I did the 2 and then collected a whole bunch of points, came back, landed, and went and got that, came back.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
So how'd your plan work?
Well, I didn't really realize the whole landing part till I was like way back in the corner. And I was like, oh shoot, I hope I'll have time. So I basically just collected a bunch of points on my way back here, landed, had 30 minutes. I was like, if I get it, I get it. It worked out well.
4 minutes? You had 4 minutes left.
Had 4 minutes left.
That was good.
Until the cutoff time, so I got my extra 500 points.
Uh-oh, here comes Cappy.
And it worked well. The last stretch was rough. It was really bumpy, and it started raining on me. But I'm glad I'm on the ground now, and I'm ready for a nap.
Right now, so a little bit of crabbing going on. 2 minutes. Come on, Cappy.
I am just staring at the time clock and looking at our last competitor in the air. And I feel our first raindrops. If we're feeling raindrops on the ground, they were definitely feeling raindrops in the air.
It's coming down quickly now.
We're going to wrap it up. I expect Cappy will be on the ground safely in a minute. That was the end of the final test. We've got rain coming. We're going to dry up and tally points and crown a champion here soon.